when motivation doesn't really like kick in, consistency does. So even sticking it out and thugging it out through anything, you'll regain your motivation to get stuff done. So I always feel like being like this long in the game, I don't really get motivated for a lot of things, right? Unless like it's a big opportunity. So the way I stay consistent the way I stay motivated is I stay consistent. So even times that I don't want to get up and write all right, or stuff like that, it's kind of the same thing with, it's just not even for rapping. It's a basic of life. If you want to work out, if you want a job, if you want to achieve a goal, if you want to start a business, it's, consistency is the number one thing, right? So even when times are going bad and you don't feel like getting up and getting it done, get it done, because every little step further counts.
Joey Gambello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Toronto-based battle rapper. We met in Ottawa, introduced by Sean Sirianni, who's been on the podcast a bunch of times.
Epic gem. What a gem.
Yeah, so great. And the event that he brought me to, man, first time at a battle rap event, and I was absolutely blown away by what you guys do.
The one in Ottawa.
Yeah, the
right?
one in Ottawa, yeah.
Yeah.
Just insane. To see it go from a party to then just two guys or girls tearing each other apart was just
it's crazy, right?
Crazy. How did you get into battle rap?
So I did this TV show called Ghost Trackers years ago when I was 14 years old.
No way.
Met a guy named Mikey. And he was I was always into rapping and shit like that, right? Doing lunch battles off the corner and stuff like that. And then he's like, yo, I make beats, I record, and we're recording on Garage Band or something like that. And he's like, yo, come out and rap, right? So I'd take the train to his house. I think he lived in Newmarket or something at the time. It was a 40 something. I had to take some sort of GO train. I don't remember exactly where. And then he's like, yo, have you ever seen rap battles? I was like, of course, I've seen a bunch of rap battles. He's like, no, YouTube, there's a whole league, and there's divisions and this, that, and the third. And one of the first battles he did show me, but obviously I've caught it from watching Smack DVD, just watching the freestyles and stuff, Cassidy freestyles. I watched it was Murder Mook versus Jay Mills. And then after that, he showed me Arsenal and Conceited on Grind Time, which I instantly became a fan of Arsenal. And then after that, Arsenal and Hitman. So this is going back 12 years now, probably even a little longer.
Oh, wow. So you have you been doing it then for 12 years, would you say?
Yeah. So right immediately after watching those battles, he was like, yo, there's a league in Toronto called King of the Dot, but we'll be going to this next league that just opened up. It's called Beast Mode. And let's go do a rap battle there. So my first ever rap battle was actually a 2-on-2 with my friend Mikey.
Are those easier, you find? Because you can kind of play off each other?
I didn't really understand it.
Okay.
At the time, and I was like, yo, I say my bars, you say your bars that you wrote. And my shit got crickets. He shut the room down, right? Because I didn't know the style. I didn't know there had to be punchlines and shit like that.
So, what did you draw on for your first battle? Do you know your opponent ahead of time, and you can kind of try to write some bars against them?
Yeah. Some of these guys that we first battled obviously had they had battles previous to us, right? So my buddy did his research. I didn't really do that. I was just like, yo, I'm gonna rap what the fuck I want to rap. I got mixtape verses, let's go. You know what I mean? I didn't really know there was this whole I didn't know there was this whole 4-bar
cadence
setups and
cadences,
multis, and I was just rapping, I was just out there rapping mixtape verses I was on the street corner on Smack DVD. So
I love that. I love that early age of pursuing especially an art form where you're just kind of fucking around, you don't really know the gravity of the situation or the decorum for what's expected even from the audience. I remember when I was early on in comedy, I was just trying to get spots in Toronto wherever I could, and I ended up getting a spot at Spirits. And this is an old comedy place, Church and Bloor area. Robin Williams had performed there. I knew none of this. I didn't know was such. I didn't realize it was such a legacy room. It's a room for heavies, guys that come in there and they can like, a million laughs a minute. It feels like they're just nonstop, right? And I turned to one of the other comics and I was like, I think I'm going to try some new stuff. And he's like, are you out of your mind? And then he starts messaging someone. I'm like, who are you messaging? He's like, my buddy who's been waiting 6 months to get on this show, that some new comic is going to do new material here. And it was just, you got like mild laughs, but I'm like, oh man, what a waste of an experience there. It's just such a young thing to do, like a young mistake. But now you're
Yeah.
like seasoned when you do it. So now do you prepare fully for the fight that you're
Um,
going into?
so the funny thing that I feel like is kind of like a superpower for me is that like I don't have to rap about my opponent and it kind of goes off like
Mm,
smooth, right? Unless I feel like you're a threat or like someone like a big, say like I'm facing someone a little bit like a bigger name than I am. Obviously, I would obviously take into account and like rap about them and make certain things about them. But if like I'm doing like a random battle versus like guys my like tier or lower, I don't really like, I just kind of like put some shit together and just rap really cool, right? Like I always
mm-hmm.
had this thing, I always had this thing where I was like, um fuck what you got going on. Fuck talking about you. You know what I mean? I'd rather talk about me and how cool I am and how much
Yeah,
you're fucking rude.
yeah,
Like I'm awesome. You
yeah.
suck. Like you know what I
It's
mean?
a
Like
Conor
that thing.
McGregor swagger to it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like my superpower as well, where like a lot of rappers have to like, they have to like, you battled this guy and you said this line where this and it's like it's cool for the nitpick of the community, but trying to
Mm-hmm.
gain new fans outside of it, they're not gonna understand what's going on. So
Yeah.
like I always treat it like new people are watching me all the time, most of the time when I battle, right?
That's smart
Just so
because the
just so
chances are there is that.
right? And it's easier to digest, right? So, and to a certain extent, right? Like if you understand the basics of like punchlining and stuff, you'll be able to coast. But like I don't really get into the whole nitpick of like you're from here, you're from like a lot, like new fans
Yeah.
don't know it, none of that shit, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I feel
Like
like that's power.
Sharon versus Roan, I found there was a lot of that where they were just kind of picking each other apart
Yeah,
in a sense. And you're like, oh, it's because like both of these guys have fan base communities who know
yeah,
about the other person, and so it makes sense. You
yeah,
know
and
what
they
I
have
mean? Like
history. There's history to a lot of
history
these,
too.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Be like being popular for a certain amount of like, we're talking a decade, right? At least both those gentlemen, like they've been super popular and like worldwide known through a decade. So they've developed these fan bases where, like when my like, oh look, he mentioned when he did this or so on and so forth, and and they tear apart, they're able to tear each other apart in that sense, which is really dope as well. But when you're going against like newer guys or mid tiers or like guys that are just starting to really come up like I am, it's you I feel like you don't really have to get into like, unless it needs to be spoken about or something like the whole culture itself would know about. So
Yeah, for sure. Which is kind of where social media starts coming into this, because I remember like
yeah,
seeing you putting up like promos of like training for your next battle where you
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
hilarious, man. Like that's what I love about the battle rap community is it's so close that it's like parallel to stand-up comedy in a way.
yeah,
It's very similar to stand-up comedy where there's like a premise and a setup and a punchline, and you're just having fun in a
yeah.
sense at the end of the day, right?
No, definitely, definitely. Comedy and rap go, like you said, there's punchlines, there's setups and stuff of that, right? Similes, and it's cool. You got to work the crowd as well. Like there's a lot of things that come into it, and like when a comedian does crowd work, where they're just picking apart like the audience in that moment, which is kind
Yeah.
of beautiful, and it's a talent and an art within itself. Battle rap has that too, where a lot of these guys, you'll say something to them and they'll flip it and rebuttal it, like freestyle it in an instant, and that's something that like
Yeah.
Sharon's actually very popular for doing.
I saw him actually do I saw a video of him doing like the roast battle at the Comedy Store, and
Yeah,
Jeff Ross was saying to him like, I noticed that he can't help but kind of make it rhyme in a sense.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's trying to deliver like, cuz a roast is just like, this guy looks like a blank mixed with a blank, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure, I was like, yo, look at this guy. And there's still a little bit of that like tone because he had done it for so long, right?
So
So it makes
long,
sense.
yeah.
But man, I bet any battle rapper could come into a stand-up comedy roast battle and just tear them apart just from
I've always
years of
thought about it.
experience. Yeah, you should do it.
I've always thought about doing a set.
You should, man. It's fun. It's a cool rush, especially because you're so in the world where it's like you're focused on one person in front of you. Where
Yeah,
this is, you're focused on what's my next joke going to be and all of the people directly in front of you, right? Like you're more
definitely.
focused on the crowd. Where I feel like at a rap battle, you would kind of lean on the crowd if you need some reaction, you know?
Yeah,
But it's
definitely.
probably one on one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot like but it's funny like rap battles. You can win in the building and you can lose on camera.
Oh, true.
There's like
Yeah.
I've
It's
seen
that
it
Sean
happen multiple.
Sirianni giving you the bad edit. No.
No,
It just cuts
I'm
out the
just saying
crowd
that like
reaction.
sometimes depending on the time, the crowd, how
Mhm.
responsive they are to like just lyricism and writing, like there could be just a crowd pleaser and an entertainer, right? That just
Mhm.
completely kills it in the room, and then you kind of watch the footage back, and you'd be like, you know what, it's a lot closer than I thought it was, or it can look even worse on camera, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it's funny how it works. It
I
really
can
is.
I can compare it to comedy in that way too. It's like there's been both different ways. Sets where I've gotten off stage and going, oh fuck, I missed this joke. Like I didn't time this one correctly. Like it was a bad set. And then I watched the video back and I'm like, no, I still got laughs. Like it was still
Yeah,
they thought it was a good set, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
there's been
yeah.
times where I'm like, that was fucking awesome. And then I watch it back and I'm like, that was mid as
No, that
hell.
was
Like
not
that was
good.
so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bad. Why did I think that was
So
so good?
being an artist and a creative, do you hate watching your footage, or like
At
do you? So like,
first, I don't
yeah.
watch it for at first I hated it because I realized I was watching it through the lens of vanity, through the lens of
Mhm.
boosting my ego of like if a hair was out of place or my shirt looked weird, that would bother me. But
Yeah.
now I'm clear of that and I'm like I don't give a fuck what I look like on stage. I watch it very like analytically like okay, did I get a bigger reaction when I looked at the crowd a certain way? Did
Mhm.
that cause something? Was it the timing of the joke? Like I really try to pick it apart to take out the fat basically, like, oh, this is
Yeah.
taking too long to get to a laugh here, let me take out all these words.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've done it before where, and I've told this to other comedians, I was like, take your recording and literally type out every word you say, and you'll really, and then every time you hear a laugh, hit the enter button, so now you can see indents down the side of the page
Oh,
where
that's
you're like,
smart.
okay, I said 4 words here and it got a laugh. I said a paragraph worth of words here and it didn't get any laugh.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can really easily pick out like what's not working, what you need to take
That's
out.
smart. That's
Yeah.
actually very smart.
Yeah,
That's
Todd
actually
Van
very
Allen,
interesting.
comedian Todd Van Allen taught me that, and I was like,
Yeah.
thank you
Shout out to
very
Todd.
much.
Shout out to Todd, man.
Yeah. Has
Shit.
any other vets in the industry given you like a tip like that with battle rap where you're just like, oh man, that's just leveled my game up, just that little tip?
Um, not kind of here and there. It wasn't actually just physically told to me by the person. I was having a conversation with Organic, and he was talking about how Diz would uh like have write out his material and like put them on either like pieces of paper, like sticky notes, and like put them up against the wall, and then like to kind of learn his transitions into the next set of rhymes, whatever, if they were 2 bar, 4 bar, 8 bar, 16 bar, whatever it was, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he would like stand there and he would like get in his zone and like do his movements and everything, kind of where like he's learning his breathing patterns and he's also getting his transitions down while moving around. It's like doing multiple things, because when you're, as you know, like as soon as you get on stage, it's like it can be like blackouting. You're just in go mode, at least for
Mm.
rap battles.
Yeah,
It's like
same
that.
thing, dude. There's
So
moments where I get off stage and I take a deep breath and I'm like, I feel like I wasn't even breathing that whole time. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
just got up there and was like, let me get everything out.
yeah. So that was a cool tip that I learned over time. And then just stay ready so you ain't gotta be ready. Um
Mm.
I haven't had really a lot of it hasn't been a lot of conversations with like people like higher up in the game with me where they'll be like, oh, maybe work on this, watch because fans will be like this or that. But I've just had more like just flowers where like I was giving flowers and being like, yo, you're dope, and then she
Mm.
was giving them flowers back. Never really like I haven't actually now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I haven't really been given like super game like that from like a superstar in battle rap,
It
whereas
might
more it's just
also
been
be a good thing,
flowers.
you
Hey,
know?
you know what? It could be. But
Yeah,
I'm not
because
the
if
type of
people
guy.
are just saying, "Hey, man, you're great. Keep doing what you're doing," you're like, "All right, I
Yeah,
got something here. Let me just,
yeah.
you'll pick
And
up
I'm
your
not
own lessons along the way by trying stuff and making
ex-
mistakes."
exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
not really the type of guy to be like, oh, is there something I can work on or anything like
Mm,
that? I think I'm very aware of what works and what doesn't work for me.
mm.
This far along in the game now. So, I actually, you know what? I might just hit up one of my favorites and be like, yo, what can
Give
I
me one
work on?
piece
What
of
can I do?
advice. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Can
actually
you
a good
critique
idea.
this for me?
Yeah, it's
And
actually
then they
very
give
good.
you advice, and you're like, "Man, you shut up. You don't know anything."
Yeah, you'd be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
That's the bad part about advice, man. Not all advice is good advice.
Exactly.
Sometimes people give me
Definitely.
advice, and people who give me advice, I look at the position they're in, and I ask myself, would I want to be in your position? Because
Yeah,
unless you're in a
definitely.
position that I would like to be in, and you're giving me advice of how I can get to there, that's really the only advice I'm going to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know,
So I
I
agree with
find
that.
too, it's interesting that you want to try stand up because during the pandemic, when all the clubs closed, I
Yeah.
didn't really know what to do, and I made a rap album. I literally just was like, I'm gonna start making hip hop songs, and I was like, okay,
Really?
had no idea what I'm doing, right? No idea. I'm just coming up with rhyme schemes, coming up with punchlines, like trying to be funny as much as I can. And then coming back to stand up comedy once everything opened, I was like, oh, I feel so much more relaxed on stage. Like
Yeah.
I can feel myself like hitting beats in the set, like of like and feeling a momentum of the crowd. And I honestly think like music helped me with that because like in order for your music to sound somewhat listenable, it has to be on beat. Like you have to, you
Yeah.
know, create like some sort of sequence.
Yeah.
But in doing it, dude, I was 3 days into creating. I would make a song. I liked it. It was good enough. I released it on SoundCloud. I made another song the next day, released it. Like not a thought about it, whether this was
Yeah.
good or what or had long term whatever
Yeah.
listenability. 3 days in, this guy that I used to know that was like a rapper just starts trashing me online, just like
Really?
death,
Who was
like
it?
death threats, like all crazy kind
Death
of like,
threats.
yeah, bro. He was going like, I looked at it for what it was, and I was like, this is a mental illness clearly that's just going unchecked right now, and he's clearly unwell. Like I was like very like, what? Where is this
Clearly
coming from?
unwell.
Because it was somebody who like was just like a brief acquaintance where I was like, oh, we're probably on good terms. He got super threatened by me making music for some reason,
Yeah.
and but I was so fired up, anyways, and I made a diss track for this guy,
Yeah.
and in the hook I said, "Bitch, please, I wouldn't bless you if you sneezed." And the best part is I only sent this song, I didn't release it publicly. I only sent the song to my friends, and they were telling me that they like say it to like everyone at work anytime someone sneezes now. So I want to
Yeah.
know, do you have like a bar from like your 12 years where you're like, that's a funny fucking, like, is there something that you always remember as like, I can't believe I wrote that. I fucking love that. That's great.
Yeah. I'll always remember this because I don't really do like I like being a little funny, a little more like cocky and like arrogant
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
funny more than like joking all the time is my style, I'd say. But like I'm very like aggressive and direct. But like one of the best things I ever did is I battled. It sticks in my head to this day. I battled some kid named Skinny Doom many years ago, many moons ago, and he sounds like the way he would rap, he'd like stutter. Like poor, I love him to death, but like,
Yeah.
and I like said something about like you sound like you're deaf and British, and like to this day, like if you ever go online, you see a Skinny Doom clip and just he sounds like he's deaf and British. I think that was like one of the. And to this day, I think about it. To this day, shout out to Skinny Doom, man.
That's hilarious. Deaf and British.
He does, man. He does. He sound and when he raps, he's like, yeah. My boy Riz got here. He's a battle rapper as well.
Hey,
So we're actually throwing this event today at outside at 158 Augusta Ave for the leftover battles. We had an event last year. Just go all the way to the back to the right, brother.
Nice.
And yeah, so his battle didn't happen last week, so now we're just gonna take it to a fucking street corner that we used to rap at. Like it has like mad
That's
graffiti and
awesome,
shit,
dude.
kind of a nostalgic feel. And yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love like the grassroots nature too of the independent scene. It's just like, let's just do some shit right here. You know,
yeah,
let's just get to it. But your word that you want to talk about was consistency. And I think it's been said twice already on this podcast. And I love that
hmm
it's becoming like a recurring theme. So like what does consistency mean to you? Why was that the word that you wanted to?
just um. Well, I knew we were gonna have a talk about just creative art and whether it would be like comedy, rap, and just acting or anything that you do. Um, when motivation doesn't really like kick in, consistency does. So even sticking it out and thugging it out through anything, you'll regain your motivation to get stuff done. So I always feel like being like this long in the game, I don't really get motivated for a lot of things, right? Unless like it's a big opportunity. So the way I stay consistent is, I mean, the way I stay motivated is I stay consistent. So even times that I
Mm,
don't want to get up and write all right or stuff like that, it's kind of the same thing with it's just not even for rapping. It's a basic of life. If you want to work out, if you want a job, if you want to achieve a goal, if you want to start a business, it's consistency is the number one thing, right? So even when times are going bad and you don't feel like getting up and getting it done, get it done because it will it every little step further counts and it
yeah.
will keep you going, right? And it's
Yeah.
the same thing with working out. If you're not really like sure about going to the gym and stuff of that, but it takes was it 3 weeks I think to gain a regimen, if I'm not mistaken, especially for working out. So I kind of consider that for rapping as well. Like the brain is a muscle in itself as well. So consistency and is the number one thing, and then repetition is the father of learning. So if you want to become a pro at something, you got to repeat it and constantly do it, and that's how you become a. That's how you learn a new trade. That's how you put 10,000 hours towards an art or something that you want to do, and that's how you become a master at it. Right. So ten
Mhm.
thousand hours, 3 weeks to build a regimen, and repetition is the father of learning. That's the three things within consistency for me as well.
Yeah, that's I love how you unpacked it like that because that's definitely necessary for people to hear. They just hear the word consistency and they're like, yeah, I get it. Do it again and again and again. It's like, no, no, no. Like I heard Ryan Long say this and he was like, we often overestimate what we can do in 6 months, but underestimate what we can do in 6 years. So
Yeah.
people will try to build a new habit or whatever, and
Yeah.
they'll get discouraged because they're not getting better immediately. And it's just like that's just not how it works. I love
Yeah. Sorry, I
it.
just walked into my house. My kid's looking at my boy like, "What's going on? Who are you?"
That's so
But
funny.
I completely agree with you, man. That that's the problem with a lot of people, right? They just don't stay consistent. They just don't stay motivated. And those kind of like we were speaking on before, and like you mentioned, thing. It's those two go together. One don't work without the other, right? And hard work works when talent doesn't as well. So,
Yeah, man, that's strong words on that too. Um,
oh,
uh,
just through my phone. Yeah. But so what was your first like rap battle alive? It was the Ottawa event.
yeah, it was the Ottawa event. I absolutely love the Ottawa event because, like,
Yeah. Where do you live? Where do you stay out? You stay out in Ottawa? You stay out in Toronto?
yeah, I'm in Ottawa now. I was in Toronto for 8 years, maybe. I lost count, and then I left in the pandemic. I
Yeah, and
just
then you
was like too. I was like, I just need to get away from the craziness.
yeah.
It just seemed like too hectic.
Yeah,
But
it gets out of hand.
yeah, yeah. Especially like I was living down near Dundas Square and it was just like
Oh
a
wow.
war zone every day I had to get home.
Yeah, yeah, you're literally in the jungle at that point.
It's fucking wild. I miss doing like stand-up spots every night. That's the one good thing that that city has is just consist like 3 4 shows a night if you want
Yeah.
to. Like it's just unreal. For battle rap, do you feel like you need to constantly be on stage to be getting better at it, or do you feel like it's something that you can do from home?
Uh, um, well, for a newer guy, I feel like they need to be on stage or in the pit and it happening for them to grow and learn. But after you get to like a certain level, I think you can just you'll know what works and what doesn't work. And at the end of the day, it's a surprise every night, right? Because you might think like there's things where I'm like, yo, they're gonna freaking love this, they're gonna go crazy and they don't react to it at all. And then something that I was
Yeah.
like, nah, I don't know if I want to put this in or not, but I say it and they go nuts for it. So it's always like a learning experience. Obviously, the stage is needed no matter what to kind of learn. But once you be kind of like, once you get to that level of mastering your craft, I feel like it should be just natural to you where you can just work on things at home or you learn your performance and how you're going to look at the camera and everything else, right? Like you can kind of visualize it after a while
Yeah.
before the stage, but anything could freaking happen, right? Anything can
Yeah.
happen.
Very true. Have you ever had a moment where you've had to kind of read the room and drop what you were going to say and just improvise essentially for a moment, even to,
I would
perhaps.
say when I first got into the game, I had more of a natural spaz for that, like a natural shtick for it, where like I was like I thought going into rap battles at first, like a lot of these guys were just freestyling. So I would come with very minimal material and just kind of like say something, but it would
Yeah.
be complete gibberish sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But as I got older, kind of no, that kind of like that ability like kind of completely disappeared. Where like I'm just so focused on my material that I won't even like try to rebuttal or anything like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Because you're, yeah, especially that early in, you're just so focused on just getting to the end, basically, right? Like you're like, if I have to say gibberish out here and then watch the video back and then learn from it, then that's what happens.
That's what's needed. Yeah.
Yeah, and then a
It's
question to that. Oh, sorry, I'll let you go ahead, and then
no,
I'll
no.
ask
Go
the
ahead. Go
question.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it'll take us down a whole different turnpike. So
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. It's fine.
okay. I just want to make sure. If you could give a piece of advice to your 15-year-old self, like let's say you get on a phone call, you can talk to 15-year-old Joey, knowing it won't affect your current timeline. So no lottery numbers or investment tips,
Damn
but
it.
life tips. What would you tell yourself?
Um, Concentrate less on friends. Uh, Work harder. Save more money. Uh, and don't be scared to get out there and try a new thing.
Mm,
Um, that's kind of what I would. That's kind of the main thing I would say more than anything else. To my 15-year-old self.
yeah.
To my 15-year-old self. Sorry, Jesus, got me stuttering.
It's all
But
good.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't really change much. I would just say don't chill out with your friends as much. Work harder. Like I do.
Mm,
Like I feel like I work hard as it is right now, but I would tell myself just work a lot harder. Um, in anything you do, relationship wise, um, family wise, business wise, career wise, and art wise or like passion wise. So
mhm.
I'll work 10 times harder because I'd probably be in a much bigger position if I just learned at a younger age to be, like I said, more consistent. And I
Mhm.
feel like, it took me time to like grow up and really realize what matter and what counts. And if that's the only advice I'd really want to give my younger self,
Yeah,
work
no.
harder,
Because
work hard. That's it.
definitely, like what you said about the friends too, I think what often throws consistency off the path is distractions. And
Yeah,
like friends can be great, like you can have those, revelations almost in conversations with really close friends that become very important and seminal to what you're doing in life. Um,
exactly.
but like there's sometimes where you're just hanging for the sake of hanging, and it's like smoking weed or whatever, watching a
Yeah.
UFC
Oh,
fight. You're like,
a lot of like, and that's the one thing as well. I would tell my younger self to quit smoking weed a lot earlier.
okay.
Um, I don't smoke like I used to. Obviously, if I have friends and we're like, social gathering here and there, but not as much as like I used to be. I'd say since like I'm 30 now, about to be 31, I kind of slowed down like almost completely. Didn't smoke for like almost a year when I was 28.
Mm,
And here and there I'll have a drag or something like that. But compared to like smoking like 2, 3 blunts a day, going through an ounce through a week almost, what a difference. I'd say I would definitely tell my younger self to not smoke as much weed and slow down a lot.
yeah. You did that in
Yeah,
your teens?
yeah. I smoked weed since I was in grade 6. I was
Wow,
smoking
dude.
weed and cigarettes at a young
What?
age,
When?
like a
Okay, I want
psycho.
to hear about your first joint and your first cigarette.
Okay, so my first joint, a buddy of mine, Michael Michelli, sorry to name drop. We went to Jane, we went to St. Philip Neri, Jane and Wilson. If y'all know where it is, y'all know where it is, South Side. But so he brought a nug of weed from his brother who was like in high school at the time, right?
It's always the high
And we
school
didn't even
brother.
know how to we didn't know to break it up or whatever. He brought a nug of weed and papers, and they just took this whole nug of weed and they just wrapped it in like 3 papers and tried to light it in the washroom. And that was the first time we kind of like, I think we got stoned. I'm not totally sure, but I think I felt some butterflies or some shit.
Damn.
And the first time I smoked cigarettes, it's hard to tell because my grandfather was mad old school and he just grew up in a different time than us, right? I'm
You're like, I
30,
think I
right?
was
I'm,
in a
I'm
high
talking about
chair.
someone, 80 years old, So
Yeah, yeah.
he would give us cartons of Marlboros to go sell at school.
No
This is
way.
elementary school. You gotta understand how old my grandfather is. Like in the war, stuff like that. Like they didn't, you know,
That's
you know
wild, dude.
that's
I just
crazy.
picture some old Italian man just like, take these, go sell
They
this.
just go sell
I
the
don't know
big
why I
money.
went Russian there, but
Yeah. But so it didn't really like we were selling them at school, and then
you were selling them. Did you get caught?
no, we did not get caught.
Wow. Perfect
And
crime.
then yeah, man, I have a kleptomaniac problem. Like even as a kid, like I would steal like mad candy bars from the store and like resell them at the school at lunch and stuff like that. I was
At
trying to
least you
get
weren't
money from
eating them. Some people were eating them when they
yeah, yeah.
stole
No,
them.
I steal for money. I wanted the money, I
Yeah,
wanted,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm an idiot. I would go buy Pokemon cards after with them.
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
go sell
yeah.
them at the school, sneak out during lunch, and fucking go to Red Nails, which was like a comic book like
Yeah.
store where they had like cards and everything. Buy Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon,
Hey,
just wasting goddamn
that
money.
stuff is worth value now, though.
Now it
Like,
is, but like,
yeah, it's a long-term investment that you were looking into
yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
with a fraudulent beginning.
Yeah, but anyways, what were they trying to? So yeah, me and my cousin, we were selling them at our schools or whatever, and then we went on this trip. We went on a family trip where we like traveled like a quarter of Canada. We went through like New Brunswick, Halifax, PEI, so on and so forth, Montreal, and we bought a pack of Dumouriez cigarettes.
Mhm.
Lighted those bitches up. As soon as I came back to school, I was thieving cigarettes or packs of cigarettes from my pops and smoking them at school. So like around like grade 7, grade 8, and then grade 9, I was smoking constantly.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. So
That's yeah, that
not
like my
good.
dad, I think my dad started when he was like 12 or something in Toronto.
Yeah,
He's like, I was riding the subways, like
it's
it's
a
totally
different time,
different,
man. It was a
totally different
different
time.
time. Like people try to like 30 years old. I'm still young, but it was a different time the way we grew up. You know what I mean? It was very different. Like my
Yeah, you had
neighborhood
those
and stuff like
old
that.
school parents and grandparents. My
Old
grandfather
fucking school.
never wore a seatbelt. He
Yeah,
refused. He just didn't
yeah,
wear a seatbelt.
bro. My grandfather used to. My grandfather had these fucking a fucking. It was like I can't even say like a like those fucking the water jugs that you stick on like to like for filtered water. They're like eight
Yeah.
liters or whatever. Picture those just filled with wine. My grandfather used to drive his minivan, his gold minivan, because he used to work for a company called Aurora, and they sell sauce and oils and olive oils and all types
Nice.
of shit, right?
Yeah.
And he used to fucking just drink he had a coffee cup filled with vino, smoking his cigarettes, playing Italian music, driving down the street. No what seatbelt. So it's a very different time, right? Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's
my
wild.
grandfather was a very well respected man. He'd have all types of people come over all over the house, from police officers, chiefs of, just different,
Yeah, yeah.
So he had a lot of. He was a very well respected person, but just completely different timeline, right?
Yeah. I remember there's a video that they put out of like people being interviewed about their reaction to like the new no drinking and
Drinking
driving
and
laws.
driving. Like
Dude,
this is crazy.
this is crazy. What do you mean I can't have a beer on my way home?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. I saw that. Like, people couldn't believe it. They were flabbergasted. It's like, how you gonna? Yeah, I need to relax.
yeah.
How you gonna tell me I can't drink? Like
It
these
shows
fucking
so
these
much though.
goddamn liberals or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're always
Conservatives or
blaming the
whatever the fuck.
liberals.
Yeah.
It shows
So
so much though about the human condition, about how fast we get used to one way of living, and then
exactly,
how like how much we hate change. Like any
exactly,
small little change, you're just like, no, I'm not doing that. It's not happening.
not happening at all.
I love
But
that this we're also getting a tour of Joey's house too.
yeah, 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 yeah. I can't. I have ADD myself. I can't sit still, bro.
Hey bro, it's all good. I can
I mean, it's O. Henry, bro. You want half? There's not much left here. We're gonna one half,
I,
half
I
of a
will
bite.
I will say though to the kids listening, if you want to try weed, wait till you're like 25, because then your brain is fully developed, and then you can make that adult decision. Okay, my brain is fully developed all the way. I can critically think about what I'm gonna do, because that stuff can
Just yeah. I was
change your.
look at me. You want to end up like me? No, don't smoke weed at all.
That's all the government needs to post. Just
You know what I mean?
have Joey cut
Look at
together.
me. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Smoke it at parties. Be responsible. Drink a
Yeah.
little. Fall in love. Find a chick. Start a business. Get on with your life. Don't worry about fucking smoking weed every day. It does nothing for you except for waste your plata, your money. Don't waste it. You
Shit,
know,
that's
unless
so
you get
good.
into the weed business. Different
Yeah,
story.
then you're set. And it's all the weed
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's illegal. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, now it's legal. You can do the
Yeah.
weed business now.
Although now it's a
Yeah,
weird,
sure.
like, I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 you're right.
you got to get like a special license to like do it now. And it's like a lottery. It's like only a certain amount of people are allowed to do it
Yeah,
at one
allowed to
time.
do
It's
it. Yeah.
complete bullshit. Like I loved when weed was in the gray area where they were, because like I used to go to, it was called Underground Comedy. It was owned by Puff Mama, and it was just a weed comedy lounge in Toronto down on Queen Street,
Oh, I
close
think
to
I've been to
Queen and
it.
Broadview.
I think I've been to it. Yep.
Dude, that club was so fun. It would just fill up with
Epic.
weed, and the cops would just come by and they'd be like, "Everybody good? Yeah, okay, cool," and they'd leave, like, because they're like, "Oh, they're just smoking a little bit of weed in there. Like, what are we gonna? We would need a warrant even to come in and like bust them, because
Awesome. Yeah.
it's not even apparent that there is being weed smoked in there. Like, it's not like you can smell it from the outside. But then as soon as they make it legal, it's now part of the government, which means bylaws now apply to it the same way cigarettes or
Yeah.
vapes apply to it. So it's like no smoking indoors. So it's like all those places get shut down immediately.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just,
just a fucking. It's just a crooked game, man. That's all it
yeah,
is. Yeah. A
yeah,
game.
yeah. That's what you have to realize too about life. Like my buddy explained to me the best way. He was like, every country is essentially running their own game of Monopoly. And in some places, it's really easy to win. And in other places, it's really fucking hard to win this game of Monopoly. Like you have to
Yeah.
figure out what you're doing. And the government is the banker. They're gonna they're gonna shut your
They got-
shit down. They're gonna take stuff if you don't play ball. Like,
Yeah. It's funny. It's like it's by their set of rules and their rules only. You open up a business like this, function your business like this, sell this type of product. Don't do this. Anyways, but for the most part, yeah, it can be a hassle, right? So, uh, it's funny. It's funny. We live in a funny place nowadays, I'd say, in Canada, but I still wouldn't trade it for the world. You
yeah,
know,
you happy to be here?
I'm happy to be here, of course, man. I could have been in fucking Italy, fucking washing fucking clothes outside with a fucking strainer or some shit like that. So
Bracing for earthquakes and shit.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate everything my grandparents, my parents laid down before me, and um, being a white Italian guy, it's not the worst life over here.
No,
Obviously,
no.
there's a lot of people that have it worse than me. I'm not the most educated person in the world, but I work really hard, and I think that's what separates me from a lot of people, right? Just in general, I overwork myself sometimes, right?
Yeah,
So,
100%.
and I kind of like, I don't know, like I feel like when I was younger, I was kind of like not lost, but like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor at one point, then I wanted to go uh into tech and like learn about computers and Apple and IBM and everything of that nature. And then now it's like I'm at a point in my life where I have a kid. I'm more like thinking about like opening up a business in construction, which I've have a background in a trade in, right? So
Yeah.
and just kind of seeing like taking that leap of faith and I kind of have my own lane, and I think I can become successful. I think it's I think people complain about, you know, obviously people are given misfortune or they don't get the same opportunities. But if you're just a regular Canadian citizen, I feel like you have equal opportunity as anybody else to go out there and get it. Obviously, there are some misfortunate people, but you know, you're clearly not working hard enough if you don't have what you got or what you want, right?
Yeah,
And
there is a little bit of that too, right? Like obviously there's like that terrible socioeconomic positions that people are born into that they can't help, and then there's
yeah,
racism on top of that,
on
and like,
top of that, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, but at least we're in a country where you could be like, I want to start a business, and then you could do it. Like if
yeah.
you go through the right proper, it's not like North Korea or even
No,
China where
yeah,
you have to go to
e-
the government and like get their approval. Like you don't
exactly,
really have to get the government's approval in Canada. You kind of just have to report what you've
exactly. And
made to them.
it's messed up because you know there are certain things they are trying to control, and like I feel that we're a little bit more complacent than other countries would
For
be as well.
sure.
Like don't get it twisted. Like it's not all fucking sweet over here, but you have more than enough ability to become a 100,000-aire or a millionaire or build something for yourself in this country. Whereas you're not going to get the same opportunities in fucking North fucking Korea or like the middle of Brazil, right? So
Yeah,
even if
yeah,
you live like I didn't grow up rich, you know. Like I just told you, my grandfather worked for a sauce company. He was a bread truck driver before the war.
yeah.
They came down here with $20 in their pocket, right? And like I grew
It's
up in a bad
wild.
neighborhood myself, and you know it's harder to get out when you talk a certain way, you act a certain way. You're not going to be able to, you know, thrive as easy as other cultures and other races. So I get it. It's very difficult, but I'd rather be here than somewhere like North Korea, like we were talking about, right? So
Yeah.
and just
But
work hard, man. Anybody that's 30 and younger, man, just keep working hard, stay dedicated to whatever it is, man. Whatever it is, you know, find a good balance of happiness as well in between that. You don't have to love what you're doing, but you have to understand you have to love life to understand why what you are doing it for, right? So you have to have a good
yeah.
balance in between the two.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have lost like like a meaning or like a they don't have a lot of people don't have a thing that motivates them to get through whatever current situation they're in. And I think that's so
Yeah,
important. Like, you know, you have battle rap, you're like, I'm gonna work my ass off and I get to do battle rap. You know, it's a fun thing. It's not like you're stressed about like, oh, I can only do this and I can't do anything else. And this has to be the one and only thing. It's like, you know, it doesn't
yeah.
have to be that way.
No,
Like
man.
once maybe if it starts making more money than what else you do, sure, if you want to take that leap. But like people get discouraged, they're working like a regular job and they're just like, oh, this sucks, I'm gonna quit. And then they start a new job and this sucks, I want to quit. And this it's because you don't have a meaning, you don't have a thing that's like getting you through those shifts that are like
Yeah,
bad, you know?
yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, man, it's a lot of people. I feel like they're just on the hamster wheel, right?
Hmm.
They don't really they don't really have purpose, but they don't feel like they have purpose, and they're just kind of like in this stuck spot. And those people are kind of like they don't see the beauty in just having whatever, right? Like you could have you're supposed to like be happy with whatever's in your like you're supposed to be happy for your family, you're supposed to be happy for no matter what. You could be broke, fucked up, you know what I mean? Like shit ain't going your way, but you gotta be thankful, not even happy. You gotta be thankful for just being able to be alive and breathing, right? And my friend, he's franchise actually, he converted to Islam, and he tells me every day, he's like, yo, he's like, I just pray every day and it just gives me a better attitude, right? Thankful for every day. And I start obviously I'm not Muslim, I'm not Islamic, but I Catholic. So what I do is wake up, make my bed, say a prayer, even if it's 5 seconds. Just a
Hmm.
little thank you for being like, yo, today's gonna be a good day. I'm still alive. I got all fingers. I got all my eyes. Got all my feet. You know, and I'm thankful for my kid. I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my family and some friends and so on and so forth. Right, and it just
Yeah.
gives you a different type of positive energy. Right, a lot of people they wake up stressed. Fuck. overthinking everything, and then they, they're stuck at a job where they don't want to be there and they want to try something new, and it's as to me, it's a lot of that is just excuses, man. I was at a job. I worked for the city of Toronto. I was a concrete cutter for the 407. We were subcontracted. Of making fucking 80K a year, happy, 5 grand a month type shit. Like, making a lot of money. Um, had an apartment and everything like that, and then like threw it all away to like open up my own business. Made less money than I've ever made in my entire life. But it's simply worth it because I believe 4 years from now, 3 years from now, it will blow up bigger than I've ever imagined, right? And it's about taking the risk because I have bills to pay as well. Don't think I, just dropped,
Of
my
course. Yeah. Yeah.
job and just, started living on the, I had to maintain my bills as well. And I took that risk and I took that chance. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, or they don't have the motivation, or they're scared to go out and try it. I could just say, you gotta test the water, man. You gotta take that
Yeah.
leap. If
Yeah. A
you
lot of
don't do
people
it,
think that they want to move. They want to move up salaries. Like I want to make 50, and then I want to make 70, and then I want to make 80, and then I want to make 100K, and they want to move up money wise. But it's like, you might be moving up money wise, but you don't know what the guy making 100K has to do. Do you
yeah,
want to do what they have to do to make 100K? Or would you rather start with a low amount of money, but it's something that you couldn't see yourself not doing every single day?
yeah,
Like it's something that you absolutely love and you're going to have no problem waking up at 6 a.m. or whatever time to get that thing done. And I
yeah.
think
And
like,
it's the
I was just going to say, I think that like when you realize like, oh, that puts me in full control, it makes that risk seem less risky.
exactly, and it's a balance. It's a good balance. You need to have that in your life to be able to proceed. Like there has to be that little bit of motivation, fear, and motivation and fear towards any type of goal, or just living, even just with relationships as well, right? There has to be that, you know um you have to kind of like have a little bit of both to be able to like it's hard to say. It's like you have to have both to be able to like move forward, right? And if you don't,
Mhm.
like, if you don't close your eyes and actually try to take that leap of faith, you'll never know, right? And you'll be thinking 10, 20 years down the road, like, fuck, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I pursue that job? Why didn't I pursue that girl? Why didn't I? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I try to live life without regrets, and I try to do everything. I try to, I dive head first, even if I know even if I know it's a bad situation for me. I got to try it, right? I just
Yeah,
got to.
yeah. I'm very much the same way. I go into almost every situation with just like such an open mind of like what the potential of this is going to be,
Yeah,
and I think that's the only way you can go about it, because if you go into it thinking like, oh, but what if my coworkers suck, or what if I don't like, you're already setting yourself up for failure, man.
the failure,
You're
exactly,
already writing your resignation before you've even started. Like it's
exactly.
such a toxic way to look at stuff. I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you got an event and I'm
Yeah,
sure you got to
I
prepare
have to
for it.
go. What I wanted to say is,
Of course.
thank you for bringing me onto the platform. You can follow me at Joey Gambello on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Uh, Shout out to my guys at Beast Mode Battles Gold. Shout out to King of the Dot, Wheezy Organic, Peppy, Franchise, Gully, all these guys. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I think, Johnny, that we should actually do this next one. We should do another podcast. We should do it in person.
Yeah,
There's
dude.
going to be an event October 14th and 15th in Ottawa again. My
Okay.
buddy Peppy's going to be battling on it. I
Dope.
think Sean's going to be recording it as well, if I'm not mistaken. You
Okay.
should probably come out, and I think maybe we should do a part two of this podcast and
Hell yeah,
actually
man.
sit down and,
You
and
know
get into
what?
it.
I know a studio. I think they're called Down to the Wire Studios. That's downtown Ottawa. So maybe I could even let me know when, if like what, it's October 14th for sure.
October 14th and October 15th. I will get the exact dates for you
Yeah,
to
let's get
make
a
sure.
group
I'll
chat going
confirm.
and I'll book like a studio space where we can actually like go in and sit in some chairs and stuff. Cause it's just
Yeah.
my apartment that I'm doing this out of here, right?
Okay.
Like
Okay. All
I
right.
don't got the
Whatever.
space, but
Whatever.
I can rent out a little studio space and we'll do a part two of the
If
podcast
you're
with the
down, and
boys.
yeah, I'll bring
Of
Pepe. I'll bring
course.
Franchise, and
Yeah, yeah.
you get more battle rappers, and we can talk more shit.
Yeah, that'll be great. All
All right,
right, man. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great event.
man.
Everyone
Everybody
go
follow
follow
Johnny,
Joey.
man.
We
Everybody go
both told
follow
everybody
Johnny.
follow
You
each
heard?
other.
Bello. Okay, we'll talk soon.
All
Okay,
right,
Bello.
much love, dude. Take care.
Done. Mob. You already know what it is.
Peace. You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.